Welcome to the Public Health Practice Gap. I am your host, Dr. Bradley Favre. Think about the most profound moment of care you have ever received in your life. A moment when a doctor delivered difficult news. A moment when a mentor sat you down to tell you a hard truth about your career. A moment when you felt entirely, completely understood by another human being. Now ask yourself, what made that moment valuable? Was it the specific vocabulary they used? Was it the perfect grammar? No. It was the cost. It was the biological reality that another human being paused their life, spent their finite emotional bandwidth, and sat in the discomfort of that moment with you. But we are currently living through a behavioral revolution that is trying to hack the equation. We are attempting to remove the cost of care while keeping the feeling of care. We are using generative AI to write our performance reviews, draft our patient portal messages, and manage our human resources. We are calling it scaling empathy. But empathy cannot be scaled. It can only be simulated. Today's episode is The Illusion of Scale, Why Human Systems Break When Empathy Disappears. In this deep dive, we are going to look at the industrialization of emotional labor. We are going to explore why a healthcare system that uses AI to sound perfectly polite is actually accelerating physician burnout. We are going to examine the biology of trust in the modern workplace. We are going to define exactly why protecting human friction is the ultimate leadership mandate of the next decade. Let us close the gap. To understand the crisis we are walking into, we have to put on our system thinking hats. For the last century, public health and organizational leadership have operated on a specific industrial model. If you have a bottleneck, you apply technology to scale the output. We did it with agriculture. We did it with manufacturing. We did it with data processing. But over the last 3 years, we have encountered a new bottleneck: human emotional capacity. We are facing a global burnout crisis. The allostatic load, the physiological wear and tear on the body from chronic stress, is shattering our workforces. Managers do not have the bandwidth to mentor. Physicians do not have the time to counsel. Teachers do not have the energy to connect. So the tech industry offered a solution. Let the algorithm do the heavy emotional lifting. Let the AI draft the difficult emails, construct the feedback sandwiches, and reply to the anxious patients. Let the AI scale the empathy. Here is the structural flaw in that premise. Empathy is not a linguistic output. It is a biological exchange. When you read a perfectly crafted, highly empathetic email from your boss, but you know or even suspect that an LLM generated it in 3 seconds, what happens? The words are right, the tone is perfect, but the trust evaporates instantly. Because in human psychology, when the cost of care drops to zero, the value of the care drops to zero. We are inadvertently building systems flooded with synthetic empathy, environments where the language of care is everywhere, but the psychological safety that care is supposed to produce is completely extinct. Let us look at exactly how this breaks down in the real world. We are going to start where the stakes are at the highest, the healthcare system. If you want to see the illusion of scale in action, look at the integration of AI into patient portals. For the past several years, health systems have integrated large language models into platforms like Epic's MyChat. The goal was noble. Physicians are drowning in pajama time, spending hours every night answering patients' messages. So the system was designed to draft replies for them. The doctor reads the draft, clicks approve, and moves on. On paper, it looks like a miracle. In a fundamental study published in JAMA Internal Medicine, researchers had panels of licensed healthcare professionals rate responses to patient questions. They compared responses written by real physicians to responses written by an AI chatbot. The results? The AI responses were preferred nearly 80% of the time. They were rated as significantly higher quality and overwhelmingly more empathetic. The headlines celebrated, AI is more empathetic than your doctor. But as public health practitioners, we have to look past the symptom and look at the system. Why did the AI sound more empathetic? Because the AI is not exhausted. The AI hasn't been fighting with insurance companies for 10 hours. The AI doesn't have a waiting room full of sick people. The AI is a server farm simulating limitless patience. But what happens to the clinical environment? First, we create the illusion of capacity. AI allows a single provider to handle triple the volume of digital messages, but it doesn't increase the provider's actual cognitive capacity to care for those patients. It masks systemic understaffing with technological efficiency. The hospital administrators look at the dashboard, see the messages are being answered in record time, and assume the system is healthy. It is not healthy. It is highly optimized camouflage. Second, we trigger profound moral injury in the physician. Healthcare workers do not burn out simply because they work hard. They burn out because the system prevents them from doing the work that matters. The therapeutic alliance between a patient and a provider is built on shared humanity. When a patient pours their anxiety about a new cancer diagnosis into a portal, and the physician is reduced to an editor of an algorithmic sympathy, you strip the soul out of the profession. We are not curing compassion fatigue. We are replacing it with compassion simulation. And the system will inevitably collapse under the weight of its own hollowness. We are about halfway through this deep dive. We have covered the clinical implications, but next, we need to talk about what this means for your workplace, your corporate culture, and the biology of your own nervous system. If this systems level approach to human behavior is changing the way you view your organization, then you are exactly who this platform was built for. The Public Health Practice Gap is completely independent, and its growth relies entirely on you. If you are finding value here, please hit the subscribe or follow button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you are listening right now. And if you want to take these concepts off the audio feed and put them into practice, make sure you are subscribed to our written strategic breakdowns at NextGen Public Health Brief. You can join thousands of other forward-thinking leaders by subscribing at the nextgenpublichealthbrief.com. All right, let's get back to the architecture of trust. Let's talk about the polyvagal theory. Why does it feel so deeply unsettling that you discover an email is written by AI? To understand the revulsion to synthetic empathy, we have to look at the biology of the human nervous system, specifically the polyvagal theory, pioneered by Dr. Stephen Porges. Our autonomic nervous system is constantly scanning our environment for cues of safety and danger. This process is called neuroconception. When you interact with another human being, your nervous system is picking up on micro cues, vocal prosody, pupil dilation, the slight hesitation before they speak, the specific, imperfect way they phrase a sentence. Your brain uses these imperfections, that friction, to confirm this is real, I am safe, this person is investing energy in me. Generative AI is programmed to bypass that friction. It uses statistically perfect sentence structures. It deploys the precise adjectives associated with validation. But because it lacks biological origin, it triggers the uncanny valley in our neuroconception. Our brain reads the perfect text and unconsciously registered, this is too smooth. This requires zero effort. This is a manipulation. You cannot biohack trust. Trust is the biological byproduct of shared friction. This biological reality is currently colliding with the modern corporate workforce. Let's look at the HR ecosystem. Over the last 2 years, we have seen the rapid deployment of AI leadership coaches and automated conflict resolution tools. Imagine you are a mid-level manager. You have an underperforming employee. You need to put them on a performance improvement plan. It is a highly sensitive, anxiety-inducing task. Historically, you would sit at a desk agonizing over the email. You would write a draft, delete it, soften a sentence, clarify a boundary, and finally send it. The employee receives it. And while they might be upset, they can feel the human struggle in the phrasing. They know the manager had a sweat over it. Today, that same manager opens an LLM and types, write a firm but empathetic email, put in my employee on the PIP. 3 seconds later, they copy, they paste, and send a flawless, emotionally intelligent masterpiece. What happens to the organizational culture? It becomes a transactional echo chamber. When employees realize that their leaders are outsourcing the emotional weight of leadership to algorithms, the psychological contract of the workforce shatters. Why should an employee exhibit loyalty, grit, or deep engagement for a system that uses a chatbot to manage their career? If leadership is just the act of routing information, an AI can do it. But if leadership is the act of bearing the emotional weight of a team's direction, AI makes you a worse leader. It gives you the illusion that you are managing people, when in reality, you are just managing text. So how do we bridge this gap? How do we survive the AI era without losing our institutions? We must publish a new structural mandate for organizational health. I call it the principle of protected friction. Just as we protect wetlands from commercial development because we recognize their vital role in the ecological system, we must protect certain communicative environments from automation because we recognize their vital role in the behavioral system. If you are a leader, a hospital administrator, or an educator, here is your framework moving forward. 1. Audit your emotional supply chain. Look at your workflows. Where are you automating relational tasks? If a communication involves critique, vulnerability, care, or life-altering news, it must remain stubbornly, inefficiently human. 2. Redefine efficiency. A perfectly written AI email that destroys employee trust is far less efficient than a clumsy, poorly formatted human email that preserves it. We must stop measuring communication by its grammatical polish and start measuring it by its relational integrity. And point number 3, treat attention as infrastructure. This is the core public health lesson. If your physicians, teachers, or managers are so overwhelmed that they have to use AI to pretend to care, you do not have a technological problem. You have a system design problem. The solution is not to buy a better algorithm to mask the burnout. The solution is to restructure the environment that is destroying their capacity to focus in the first place. I'll leave you with this. We are rushing towards a future where it will cost absolutely nothing to simulate care, to simulate intelligence, and to simulate intimacy. In a world where perfection is automated and empathy is free, what becomes valuable? The messy, inefficient, costly, beautiful reality of a human being trying. The most successful, healthiest organizations of the next decade will not be the ones with the most seamless AI transitions or integrations. They will be the ones that have intentionally preserved their humanity. They will be the ones where people know that when things go hard, a real human being is on the other side of the desk or the other side of the screen, doing the unscalable work of actually caring. Do not let an algorithm steal your friction. It is the only thing that proves you are alive. Thank you for listening to the Public Health Practice Gap. If this episode challenged you, take that challenge to your organization. Share this episode on LinkedIn. Start a hard conversation. And if you need help navigating how these emerging digital systems are impacting your workplace behavior, health outcomes, and long-term strategy, my team is ready to help. Visit us at the nextgenpublichealthconsultancy.com. Until next time, protect the friction, stay curious, and stay human.